Hello, today I'm discussing 3 things that make us look old and feel old after 50. Now, first things first, this is a channel that bigs up pro age. We are all for pro age. We love growing older. It is a privilege. However, there are things that we can be doing to ourselves that make us look old and feel old. If you feel old, that's not a good feeling. If it's not that you're 60, but you feel old. That's not what I'm talking about. If you're 60, I'm 60, and I'm happy. I'm so happy that I'm 60. I feel great, to be fair. But really, I don't feel old. When we give old to a as an adjective, a describing word to something, we are not giving it as a compliment. When you see a car that is 1950s Chevrolet, you wouldn't say it's an old car. You'd say it's vintage. And so that's the difference. We don't want to be old and decrepit. No, we don't want to do that. We're growing older, and as we're growing older, we're growing wiser, and we're learning more about ourselves and the environment and what is coming. And so yes, that's where I'm coming from. Okay, and so we don't want to be outdated. We don't want, because that's not growth. When we're outdated, we're not growing. We want to grow as we age. Okay, so that's one thing. But there are 3 things that I've noticed that cause us to look and feel old, and I'm sure you agree with me. And the first one is stress. Now, stress will make you feel and look old at any age. You know, if you look at a 20-year-old that is going through a lot of stress, maybe at work, you'll see how they look. They look old. They look older than they are. They've got bags under their eyes. Sometimes their hair is falling out. I've spoken to young people who are going through at the moment, and they yeah, it's been hard for them, but it's because they're stressed. And one thing we have to do is to eliminate that stress or lower that stress. Some things we can't take away entirely, but there are things that we can lower. And we have to be honest here. So we need to look at the things that are causing us stress, especially if we're in our 50s and 60s. Come on, we know where we are. We should know the things that are causing us stress. Maybe there's been a change and that's causing you stress. Maybe you've got a new job and that's causing you stress. And maybe there are things that you can do about that can help you. So look into the things that are causing you stress and seeing ways that you can navigate through that stress. You might have to speak to someone else. You might have to speak to your boss about, can I do it this way? Can I do it that way? Or, can I start work at this time, or can I do flexi hours if that's making you stressed? Stress doesn't look good on anyone. And certainly when we raise our cortisol levels in our 50s and 60s, it then has an impact on our bodies. And so it's so important that we eliminate where necessary and decrease stress in our lives. The second thing, how you show up says a lot about how you feel. And, as you grow older, how you show up. How are you showing up? Are you showing up the way you want to? Or are you showing up because you feel no one sees you? You feel unseen. You feel no one cares. We need to show up and feel relevant to ourselves and to others. I mean, we are relevant whether other people feel it or not, but we need to first of all feel it to ourselves. When we feel it to ourselves, other people will see our relevance. Okay. But when we hide and say we're not relevant and we don't show up as our authentic selves, people are not going to see us. Okay. So it's important that we show up how we feel. If you feel that this is how you want to show up with the type of clothing, the type of hairstyles, the type of makeup, you know, the things you want to do now that you're in your 50s and your 60s or 70s, then you should show up doing that. Don't, because you're in your 50s and your 60s and you like fashion, say, you're not gonna be fashionable again. Okay, there are certain things where you might have to change, but you know, depending on your own body type, depending on things that you rather not show now, yeah. But how you show up is important. Show up as your authentic self. Show up as you feel. And hopefully you're feeling good. And they say that when you look good, you feel good. So hopefully, you feel good. And if you're not feeling good, maybe that's time to look for help. That's time to look for help. Talk to someone. Talk to someone, in the community. Talk to somebody like a therapist. Talk to your doctor. Talk to someone in your church, maybe. Talk to an elder. Talk to your sister. Talk to a friend who you think, is good at listening if you don't feel yourself. Okay? So those, look at Pinterest for your to get ideas on makeup and things, on how you want to show up. And it's not just for women, for men as well. Sometimes men are thinking, I used to be right dandy when I was in my young age, and I'd like to, I don't want to do the whole thing now, but I'd like to I don't know where to start. Well, maybe going into John Lewis, and where they do free you know advice on clothing. You can go in there and say, I kind of like lost my where I am in terms of my style, and I'd like you to style me. And they do it free. You don't have to buy all things. You might buy one thing, but at least you'll come away with knowledge of how you want to be dressing. Okay. And the third one is how we think. My pastor used to say stinking thinking. And sometimes we are to grow in wisdom. We're not to grow and become stagnant and say, oh, this is how it was in the 50s, this is how it was in the 70s. Now, we can say that, and we can bring that to the table, but we need to bring that to the table with the ability to look forward and say, well, this is how we did it before, but I'm sure if we added that onto it, it would be better. And not to say, oh, this is how we did it in the 70s and, tough luck. No. Even when we're talking to our children, our grandchildren, we need to learn from them. So we don't want to be people who are stagnant in our thinking, because that's not growth, and that makes us look and feel old. It's as simple as that. And so how can we update our knowledge? Well, online, YouTube, courses, also traveling. And don't be afraid to use social media. You know, so many ways in which you can learn different things from social media now. There's no excuse. So, yeah, the way we think ages us if we don't think properly. And fourth one, a bonus as usual, is to prioritize sleep. When you don't prioritize sleep, it shows. Someone who hasn't slept for a few days, it shows in their face, it shows in their bodies, they're sluggish. When we sleep, a lot of things are happening. Our bodies are beginning to work around it, and begin to repair themselves. And when we don't sleep properly, or we don't sleep early enough, and when we don't aim for 7 to 8 hours, we are doing ourselves a disservice. And so I would say, please prioritize your sleep. They might have a sleep routine. Okay. Try not to eat 3 hours before you sleep. Because then it has a problem digesting, and that might keep you up as well. And also meditate, pray, and practice gratitude before you sleep. These are ways that, help with sleeping and help you to have that routine. Also breathing, 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 holding your breath, and then letting it go. So you breathe in, count to 4. You hold it, count to 4, and then you let it go, count to 4, and you can increase that. We can increase that as we get stronger. Share with you. Yeah, so those are the 3 things and the bonus one that I was wanting to share with you today on how to come across as our authentic selves, not as old decrepit people. And so I really hope that you found this topic interesting. Please click and subscribe. It helps the channel. We're trying to grow the channel. We've just started. And so, yes, I'll see you on the next one. But until then, please remember to rock your decade.